Denise Gwen, reading aloud for you from my novel, His Christmas Eve Proposal, Book 3 in the Medicine Women of Alaska, Chapter 7. Phew, that was a close one. Naomi fretted that Drew had gotten a tick too close to learning her secret the other night when she performed the emergency surgery on the bear mauling victim. Because of that, she decided to keep a low profile for the next several weeks. She didn't want to get tangled up in any tricky conversations. It bothered her that Drew Rutherford had witnessed her tremendous surgical skills. She'd never meant for someone out here in Alaska to see how well she wielded a scalpel. If only she hadn't agreed to go with them. When she walked into that makeshift OR, her surgical instincts had rushed through, and she simply couldn't help herself. She took charge of the situation, pushed everyone else aside, and got down to doing what she did best, taking care of a patient with deep trauma. And so that's why she found herself in the cereal aisle of the little grocery store located 2 towns away, picking out a cucumber for a salad. She didn't want to bump into Drew Rutherford. It was too late now to run back home to LA, even though every sense in her body told her to do just that. If she went home, her dad would say she was behaving just as her mother had. Her mother had abandoned them both shortly after Jackson died. I can't take it anymore, Naomi. You don't understand. I lost everything when Jackson died. You have your medical career to look forward to. Your dad is going to be fine. I just need to be free. Her mother's freedom had come at a price. Even though the idea of running back home was starting to really appeal to her. Hey, is that a cucumber you're holding, or are you just glad to see me? Oh, that was so obnoxious, so rude. She whirled around to give the offending person a drop-dead stare and jumped with surprise when she saw Drew Rutherford standing on the other side of the bin of tomatoes, grinning from ear to ear. Excuse me? Did you really just say that to me? Oh, don't mind me. I couldn't resist. Restrain yourself next time. She attempted a severe frown, but the grin on his face made her laugh. I can't believe a grown man is acting like a teenage boy. Hey, I got you to laugh. Yes, I'll admit you did. Still smiling, she gazed up into his eyes and was struck visibly by their warm quality. Okay, you got me, Buster. What are you doing here anyway? I came all the way out here to avoid bumping into anybody I knew. Ha! So I found out your diabolical secret. Yes, you sure did. She dropped the offending cucumber back into the bin. She tried to move away from him. He pushed his cart around the bin and stood next to her. I was doing a house call on a patient and decided to get a few groceries before I headed home. Didn't expect to see anybody I knew either. Oh, how interesting, she said in a tone of voice to indicate that it was the most uninteresting thing she'd heard all day. Do you have a car? He asked. Uh, no, my nurse lives in Gnometown. She dropped me off. How are you planning to get back home? He asked with a seductive smile. Call up your nurse and expect her to drive you all the way back to Gnometown? No. He gazed intently at her, pressing his presence upon her. And while he was mighty tall and good looking, she wanted nothing to do with him. He wasn't getting the message. I can give you a ride home. He stepped in closer to her. Okay, well, I'm all right for now. She put her head down and pushed her cart away from the produce, and he matched her step for step. Oh, I'm starting to get so annoyed. Assigned the paperwork for Mrs. Armacost to transfer to you as a patient, he said. Oh, crap, that's right. Another one of his long-standing patients left his practice. She prepared herself for another spate of criticism for poaching his patients, and she stopped the cart to level him with a stare. Don't you dare light into me. He held up his hands in mock surrender. Hey, don't worry. I was glad to sign the release for her. She needs to have surgery in the next 6 months, and I think she'll be in better hands with you than with me. Her heart thudded dully. What makes you say that? Are you kidding me? I was standing right beside you on the mountain up there in that makeshift hospital when you navigated your way around the operating room. You're hiding your talent and your skill. Only somebody with cardiothoracic knowledge would have been able to drain the pericardial sac without the benefit of an ultrasound. He shook his head. I've never seen anything like it. That's quite a mouthful. I've been practicing. You have? Yes, I've been waiting for a chance to get you alone. It was just, if I possessed that level of talent and skill, I sure wouldn't be stuck in this one-horse town. I'd be at the nearest big hospital showing everyone how cardiothoracic surgery work is done. You're simply amazing. She looked away, embarrassed. Dang, but she hated being found out. Why in the world did he insist on talking to her? Couldn't he see how uncomfortable it made her? There are a few items I wanted to talk to you about Mrs. Armacost, though, before you take her on as a patient. We shouldn't discuss patients in a grocery store. She frowned as he dropped a loaf of artisanal bread into her shopping basket. Excuse me? What are you doing? Consider it your minimal payment for the privilege of getting a ride home in my very comfortable truck. Oh, I think you're selling your truck too much. Are you sure it's that comfortable? She asked with an arch smile. Oh, but it is. Heated leather seats. Oh, that wonderful Corinthian leather, she said. That's right. They kept on in this gently bantering way for a few more minutes, then she sighed. What's wrong? He asked. I'm a little bit disappointed, quite frankly, by the lack of, how shall I put it, organic or vegan options. I hear you, he said. We're not exactly foodies out here. He nodded at the loaf of bread in her basket. There is at least a local bakery we can count on, but I do recall you're a girl from Los Angeles, aren't you? I am. I was hoping for more, quite frankly. He fell silent, then said, Actually, there is this one gourmet place that I'll bet you've never been to. It's a foodie lover's paradise in menu options. Oh, really? She asked. Somewhere nearby? Yes, as a matter of fact, it is nearby. Then why haven't I ever heard of it? Oh, the owner is kind of particular as to the number of people he wants coming to his place. It sounds downright odd to me. Don't worry. Once you sample the food and the ambiance, you'll understand. He winked at her. I will, huh? Yes, you will. But first, let's finish our shopping. In the back of her mind, she wondered. Seriously, her nurse had told her all about the various places where she could go to for a meal. Was he asking her out on a date, or did her nurse really not know of this place? Okay, he was definitely asking her out on a date. Her heart sparked at the idea. He was interested in her, wasn't he? Yes, he was. And that left her wondering. Did she really want to go out on a date with him? How about we go there tonight, he asked, again as easily and as lightly as if he were discussing the weather. Oh, not right away, she said. I need to take a shower, and I'll tell you what. I'll drop you off at home, return at 7, and take you to this place I'm thinking of. Sounds great, she said uneasily.